Okay. Good morning. I'd like to call to order the meeting of April 23rd, 2026 for the Planning Commission. And if everyone will please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we have one item today, and I want to just verify that legal notices were been sent out. All right, thank you. Number 4 says consent agenda, but we don't have that, so, okay. Alrighty, we have public input, and this is the time when anyone who's on Zoom or in the chambers may step forward, say his or her name, and have 3 minutes to discuss anything that is not on the agenda. So I'll open up public comment. Anyone on Zoom? All right, so close public comment. We have one item today, and I invite the applicant to come and join us up on the dais. So our item is consideration of proposed major use permit, PL 25155, UP 2058, Lake Coco Farms, Juan Gamino. Say again? Gamino, thank you. And mitigated negative declaration PL 25155 IS 2072 for the approval of no more than 205,800 square feet of commercial cannabis cultivation and a type 13 distribution self-transportation license located at 3417 and 3547 Hendricks Road, Lakeport, APN 005-00607 and 005-01301. So, I'd like to have the staff report.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Trish Turner. I'm an associate planner with the Community Development Department of Lake County. The project consultant are present in chambers, and it is important to note that the public comment attachment 8 has been received both in support and in opposition to this project proposal. Mitigation measures and conditions of approval have been incorporated to address neighbor concerns. The project proposes major use permit for 205,800 square feet or 4.72 acres of outdoor commercial cannabis canopy and one type 13 distribution self-transport only. The parcel sizes combined are approximately 228.77 acres. Article 27 requires that parcels used for clustering be held under the same ownership. The clustered project parcels are not held in title identically. One is in a trust naming Juan Gamino as a managing member, and the other is held solely by Juan Gamino. Staff is amending the conditions of approval to state the following. If any of the project parcels used for clustering are transferred under new ownership, both project parcels shall be transferred or the use permit is no longer valid. We are also going to amend the conditions. There's a typo on condition of approval hydrology, number 4, and it should say and, not or. And on the last page, there is a number 5 for the last condition, and it shouldn't be a 5. It's just carrying over from the previous page as well.
Excuse me, if I could ask one question. That first change in condition that you read, is that available in writing for us to see, to be handed out to us commissioners?
No, but I can pass this over to you guys, and you guys can.
Okay, thank you.
The site is located in the unincorporated area of Lakeport to the west of Scotts Valley. The closest community growth boundary is approximately 9,552 feet east of the project parcel. The outdoor canopy location is outside of the 1,000-foot buffer of the farmland protection zone, as seen on the map identified by the pink shading. Since the last Planning Commission hearing, the Commission has requested information on pending and approved projects within proximity to the proposed project sites. While this information is not contained in the staff report, it is being provided in this presentation. There are 5 projects within 1 mile, and there is 1 approved project within 1 mile of this project. And I did look up the sizes of those other ones. So the one that is approved within 1 mile of this project, UP 18-41, is for 20,000 square feet of canopy within greenhouses equipped with odor filtration. There are 2 pending projects within 3 miles of this project location, and there's 1 approved project within 3 miles of this project location. That would be UP 21-05 for 84,848 square feet of outdoor canopy. Yes, no, 2 that are pending. Yes. And I didn't look up the size of those ones because they are pending. The general plan designation for these parcels is resource conservation, agricultural, and rural lands. The base zoning district is agricultural preserve zone, and the full zoning is agricultural preserve zoning and waterway combining district. The project parcels are not within a mapped flood zone, and it is located within the Lakeport planning area and Supervisor District 4. The property is a level valley floor that has been in active agricultural use for years. The specific development areas we're looking at are the disked hay fields right in the center of the 2 parcels. Since these fields have been regularly disked and worked, the site is already heavily disturbed from its historical use. There is a heritage oak located on site that is protected from disturbance, and no tree removal is proposed. All setbacks from Hendricks Creek have been identified, and the project includes avoidance by design. The existing uses on the property. There are currently 2 single-family dwellings, 1 groundwater well, perimeter fencing and access gates, 1 5,138 square foot existing metal barn, and a total of 4 culverts. The project scope. The proposed project is proposing 3 3,000 square foot greenhouses for immature plant propagation, 1 9,600 square foot metal building used for processing with a septic tank system and an ADA compliant restroom, 4 5,000 gallon water storage tanks, a 25,000 gallon total water dedicated to fire suppression, a 5,138 square foot existing metal barn for harvest storage, 120 square foot chemical storage area, 8 standard parking spaces and 1 ADA compliant space, a fire department turnaround meeting PRC Public Resource Code 4290 requirements. The project was analyzed under the Lake County General Plan, the Lakeport Area Plan, the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, 2025 CEQA guidelines, and state regulations with the findings found in the staff report. All impacts to the environment could be mitigated to less than significant with mitigation measures incorporated into the project's conditions of approval, Attachment 2, and outlined in the draft mitigated negative declaration, Attachment 4. Public comment period occurred for the draft initial study mitigated negative declaration from November 4th, 2025 to December 9th, 2025. Tribal notification was sent out on June 15th, 2020. Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians responded and requested consultation. Records indicated that tribal consultation had occurred in September of 2020. However, consultation was never formally closed. To ensure the project consultation was concluded, staff reached out in August of 2025 and September of 2025 to confirm if the tribe had any further comments. After providing those additional opportunities for input, the county officially closed the AB 52 process on September 10th, 2025, with tribal cultural resources mitigation measures incorporated into the draft initial study, mitigated negative declaration, and the conditions of approval. No further comments from the tribe have been received to date. Points of interest is the water usage. The applicant has submitted a hydrology report and a drought management plan. This is attachment number 5. The project parcel has one well on site that will be used for both parcels of cultivation and on-site residences. The hydrology report evaluated a 1,000-foot sphere of influence to identify any neighboring wells in the area. According to the hydrology report, the technical testing shows the actual radius of influence for the well is 143 feet, and physical drawdown from the well is contained within the project's own boundaries. Staff is recommended to adopt mitigated negative declaration initial study IS 20-72 for use permit PL-25-155 UP 20-58 with the findings listed in the staff report. Staff is recommending to approve use permit PL-25-155 UP 20-58 with the proposed conditions of approval and with the findings listed in the staff report and as amended today. Any questions?
I have questions. I have a few questions. So I was just curious about how this project, as we've not had many projects come before us that actually were part of an early activation. And I was just wondering how this transition between the early activation and this project, whether it's same owners or they're different owners. Okay.
Good morning, Trish.
So, good morning.
Yeah, the current applicant, Juan Gamino, was not the owner of the property or Lake Coco Holdings. At the time of early activation, they purchased the property, I think it was 2021, I think it was 2020 when early activation was used for 1 year. And they purchased the property and Lake Coco from the then landowner at that time.
Okay. So again, my question goes to staff, just wondering how that transition between early activation, or if there is any transition, or given the change of owners also, whether that's just cut, that's a different project, and this is a different project. So I'm just wondering if there's anything that transitions over, or whether they're two totally separate projects.
So whenever early activation happens, it happens for a specific set of time, which was, I think, 6 months. And at that time, it was a different owner. Once it's done, it's done.
Okay.
It's allowed before a project is approved.
Right, okay. Thank you, I just wanted to clarify that. And then also there's some, or maybe it's just with the wording between the staff report and some of the other documents that we reviewed, but I want to be clear on exactly the number of total acres of cultivation and the total number of acres of canopy. We have 2 different sites, 2 different parcels, but what's the total anyway, yeah, so what's the total?
And what's the spacing?
So the total of the canopy is going to be 4.72 acres or 205,800 square feet. Within the cultivation area is approximately 12 acres. So the canopy, which is actually going to be the cultivation of product, is 4.72 acres.
All right, I did.
Did you get, was that confusing to you also?
No, I just divided by the number of square feet per acre. That's kind of how I do it.
Yeah,
But I'm mystified about the water situation. Now, I did this review of this a couple weeks ago when it first came up, so it's not fresh in my mind, but my notes say that it's going to need 20,283 gallons per day given a 6-month growing season. That's 845 gallons an hour all the time. And that's enough for 512 plants per acre. Is that what the plan is? 512 plants per acre? Or
We have this discussion often. It's the number of plants. I mean, it's from my perspective, and I believe my client's perspective, it's irrelevant. The number of plants per acre. It's about the square footage of the canopy, and so there are certain strains that in a 10 square foot area, 1 or 2 plants would occupy that whole 10 square feet. There are other strains where it would take as many as 8 plants to occupy that whole 10 square feet, and that has a lot to do with how tall and how wide the plants get, and that's a product of their life cycle. Some plants have a very long life cycle and are not harvested until late fall, while others have a shorter life cycle and are harvested much earlier, some in the summer or early fall. So
your mind is somewhat of a database, but I'd like to see more studies on the issue. I don't think we have the funds to do that, but
I do annual reports. Actually, just this morning, I spoke to one client who was cultivating over in Long Valley, and he had just finished his annual monitoring report for last year's. He grew 2 acres of canopy, and he used 2.5 acre feet of water. So I typically use 2 acre feet of water per acre of canopy, and that comes from Sonoma County's study on it for outdoor cultivation. And then that's also correlated to the California Department of Food and Agriculture when they were putting together their programmatic environmental impact report for rules and regulations for commercial cannabis. They determined that it was similar to like hops and tomato production, and that's where they came up with like 1.8 to like 2.2, I think, acre feet per acre, and that's what I always use. Once again, because to me the number of plants is irrelevant, because it's, the amount of water they're going to use is a product of the canopy and size of the plants.
so I'm just accustomed to the gallons per minute rather than, because that's how I think. So I have to do a bunch of math. I think it's 8 gallons per cubic foot of water.
Roughly, it's like 7, like over 7.5.
So I don't know if you were finished over there, Monica, but I'm very concerned about the neighbors' reports of water consumption issues. I think the neighbor to the west said that his well actually went dry 6 years ago. This is a big consumer of water, and I assume that it's the same aquifer. We're going to have some problems.
Yeah, so in preparation for this, we sent out an email, limited response. You met Mr. Hendricks, who did respond, and he was also the one that had a well go dry. To his own admission, is a very shallow well that they have there. But part of our outreach to the neighbors is, hey, as long as Lake Coco one, who's in the room now, are on this property, the neighbors will always have water. We can, as long as our project has water, then the neighbors will have water. We talked with Mr. Hendricks about putting a tank on his property that we could fill up at the beginning of every season, so he would have that as an emergency water supply source. Should his well go dry during a period of drought, that was a drought year that it occurred, and like I said, he admitted it's a very shallow well that they have there. And then perhaps in the future a better well could be developed on their property that is deeper and would not go dry.
It's good to see people working with the neighbors. And just for the record, I'm seeing, although it was reported that there were comments in support and in opposition to this project, I counted 5 opposed to the project for various reasons and 1 neighbor in support. One of the other issues that was hit on by these neighbors is some vicious dogs. Do we have a solution to that issue?
That was the tenants, so as you saw, Juan purchased the property in 2020, and we've been moving through this process ever since. Over that period of time, they've leased out the property. There's a residence on the property that they leased out. Part of, should approval be granted today, would be the tenants will be gone. Juan will be moving on to the property and start development of the project. The tenants that had the quote vicious dog, they were gone a while ago, but there are other tenants there at this moment in time.
Just for the record, I did visit the property. It's really beautiful. It was impressive, and the thing that really struck me was that it's in a valley, isolated valley.
And you had brought up the number of letters that were written against the project. I would just like to state that those letters were received by the county prior to us getting email addresses and phone numbers of the neighbors. So there are 2 neighbors that live on Hendricks Road, and they're there year round. But then there's another residence past, and then there's some others that they're not there most of the time. They're like vacation homes or something like that. So we didn't have a way to like connect with them until recently. Anyways, I bring that up to say those letters were received by the county prior to us being able to outreach to those neighbors who voiced opposition to this project. And we did send out an email. It was limited response, but I since have spoken to a couple of those neighbors, and I believe that they're in support, or at least they've dropped their opposition to it, the project.
I'm seeing dates of November and December 2025 from most of these letters.
Yes, we got so we met Mr. Hendricks, I want to say it was February, and then he was the one that provided us contact information, and so it was like March, I believe, when we were able to actually reach out to the neighbors.
Yes, I do still have a few questions of staff. And I'm just going to respond in regard to that, is that given that we basically review what's in front of us, we have no letters to substantiate your statements there, but would love to hear from the neighbors. So for staff, in regard to, there was mention of the use of 2 generators as backup, and I was just wondering, in the conditions of approval, does that, or where is that included, that mention of that? Does it fall under air quality, or where is that in the conditions of approval that?
It's on general conditions number 24. The operation shall not rely on generators as a primary source of power, and shall only allow properly permitted, when applicable, generators for temporary use in the event of a power outage or emergency that is beyond the permittee's control.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. So I was frantically trying to find that. So
I have another question if I...
yeah, go ahead, and then I'll come back.
I know that we try to keep quiet what the issues, the tribal agreement terms are, but I believe it was an archaeological report done in 2020 that talks about the Norris Trail. I'm just wondering if you can tell me what mitigation was agreed to regarding that. The Norris Trail, I believe, and I'm sorry that Commissioner Brown isn't here. He probably knows more about it than I do, but I understand it's a historic trail that Native Americans use to get to the coast from Lake County. Goes through this property.
They're not.
It looks like per the initial study, we have TCR 1 and TCR 2 that require on-site training for personnel, for sensitivity training, and then also if anything is unidentified or previously unidentified is encountered. I do not see notes of anything specific related to the trail, but that may be due to, confidentiality.
I'd like to elaborate just a little bit if I may. All of the ground disturbance would occur in areas that were previously used for agriculture. It was a orchard, then row crops, I forgot what row crop it was, and then more recently it's been used for hay and alfalfa farming. And so all ground disturbance would be limited to areas that have been disturbed in recent history.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and also pull up, do an internal review real quick of that report, just to refresh our memories as well.
Thank you.
Okay. And then I would just like to point out that in reading through the materials in the property management plan and the staff report, there was just a few discrepancies, and they're somewhat minor, but on the other hand, they're also not. Or at least I would like to make a statement that I do find some of these things just a little troubling sometimes when it almost appears like there's cut and paste going on, and so it's hard to kind of focus on the specifics of the project, or, is this just kind of a template that we're using? So in regard to that, some of the discrepancies I saw is that in the property management plan, in the best management practices, it refers to Sonoma County Agricultural Commissioner and getting necessary permits through the Sonoma County Permit and Resource Management Department. So, again, those are somewhat minor, but yet important when we're reviewing the documents. The other thing that in best management practice listed, and maybe this was pulled from a project in Sonoma, but one of the things that they indicated is that vehicle speed shall be kept to a maximum of 10 miles an hour while using on-site use to minimize dust generation. But for Lake County, we have in the staff report 15 miles an hour. Again, it's somewhat small and minor, but yet it is a mitigation measure. And why is it 10 miles in Sonoma and 15 here? And then there's, what I would also like to know is the surrounding, and I couldn't find this in any of our maps that are presented, but there was once in the past, we would receive information that showed us the surrounding parcels. There was the map that shows parcel numbers, but it doesn't indicate what the zoning is on those parcels. Additionally, on this parcel, there's various different zones, and I would have liked to have seen it delineated, where resource conservation is ag, rural, what parts of those parcels are zoned in accordance to the general plan designation and the zoning. So, but also, for the neighboring parcels around this project site. So, and then just to clarify, one of the reasons why I brought up also about whether or not the previous project, the early activation, was part of this is because some of this material, maybe this has just taken this long to get to this point, but some of the items in our packet are dated way back from 2020. So, and of course, we're in 2026 now. I do have a couple questions also on the agency comments, where the comments submitted by Public Works, and by the way, too, also some of the comments don't contain dates, and it would be really nice when we get agency comments that they include the date also that they reviewed. But for the Public Works agency comments, it states stabilized construction entrance and stabilized construction roadway is requested to be put in place following grading. And I was just wondering if staff can elaborate or explain a little bit on what that actually means?
We're pulling that comment up. Is it for the driveway? It's related to the driveway, and egress, ingress onto the county road.
If I may,
Right,
So
because
whenever,
there's a shared private gravel access road and private gravel access roads off of the shared private gravel access road.
so, if
How
I,
many gravel roads are there? And how does the Public Works statement or comments pertain to any of that, if it does at all?
so whenever a building permit will be pulled for this project, it will be required to have, Public Works sign off on it, on the roadway, the, what's it called? Yeah, the encroachment permit, everything like that will have to be signed off on, from Public Works at the time that a building permit is submitted for this project.
and this was also included in my email to neighbors. A commercial encroachment is going to be required. So there's a shared private gravel access road that is used to access this property as well as the parcels past this property. And then there's a private gravel access road, and that's a driveway, for lack of a better term, but we're not allowed to call them driveways because this is for commercial access. And so the road is going to have to be improved. The shared portion of the road is going to have to be improved along with a commercial encroachment signed off by Public Works. But that's all part of the building permit process, and that's what they were referring to in that comment.
So to roads, I noticed that in CAL FIRE there was concern, regarding roads. So these roads are going to be up to the qualifications.
Absolutely, along with a dedicated water source with a hydrant, or not a hydrant, a hydrant, yes, sorry.
I mean, storage tank.
Yeah, the tank, but the tank also has to connect to a hydrant. There's specific requirements for that, so that fire.
Fire
equipment-
connection,
Yes.
right.
So usually whenever a project is fully outdoor, it's not required to meet Public Resources Code 4290. However, because there will be buildings and things like that, they do have to meet those standards.
Right.
While we're talking about roads, if I may, my understanding is directly to the west, there's a very large parcel that is used as a kids' camp. And I'm wondering, I know I visited the project, I don't remember, is access to that kids' camp through this property? And if so, how far is that road from the cannabis?
It's, access is through the property. The property is quite large. But do you remember when we drove around to Mr. Hendricks? So you would drive around the field. And then, yeah, 100 feet would be like the closest that they would pass within the cultivation area. There will be some visual screening in the form of vegetation. It's also a requirement because of the proximity to the farmland protection zone. So they're going to be planting trees as visual screens along that road. And it's shown in the site plans as well.
My concern is about odor.
So a question,
Okay.
back to sort of the water conversation. I see the proposed 4 5,000-gallon tanks. So if there's enough water to supply the growing needs, what, 20,000 gallons need to be stored, plus the 25,000 for the fire.
Correct.
So it sort of bespeaks that perhaps there's not enough water regularly available for.
Oh, no, so like that's actually the opposite. So they're going to use, like, if we were really concerned about water, we would propose a lot more storage. That's for use. The storage there is just like, okay, a pump goes down for a day, we need to, go fix the pump. We would have enough to carry us over for a day or two. if we were truly, and it's a requirement, the volume of water that has to be in the fire tank is a product of a calculation on the
Yeah.
proposed building. If we were actually concerned about running out of water, there would be significantly more storage on here, but we're not. We have no concerns. These wells are very strong.
If I may, the proposed well information and things like that is in the hydrology report. The proposed cultivation operation has an estimated peak daily use of 19,117 gallons and an estimated average water demand of approximately 8,674 gallons per day. A well yield test performed indicated that the existing on-site groundwater well can produce 102 gallons per minute. At 102 gallons per minute, the on-site groundwater well could produce the maximum estimated daily demand for the water of the cultivation operation in less than 3 hours and 8 minutes. Additionally, the project proposes 20,000 gallons of water storage capacity for irrigation, which is more than peak anticipated daily water demand. And according to the report, the existing on-site groundwater well is a sufficient water supply source for the proposed cannabis cultivation. Also, the total estimated water use for the proposed project is 3,650,946 gallons per year. The aquifer recharge during periods of drought was calculated at 4,413,007 gallons per year. Since the aquifer recharge during periods of drought is greater than the water usage for the proposed project, the on-site groundwater well is considered to be adequate.
Thank you.
That's from the initial study, I'm sorry.
I have a question on the greenhouses. What's going to be the structure?
Can I ask a question about the water
Oh, sure,
while
go
we're
ahead.
on that? The well test, again, I'd like to point out that the well test was performed 4/2/2020. So quite a while ago, and wasn't performed during the fall to get, any critical information about what happens during, after sufficient rainfall. So that's a problem. The other thing is that with the hydrology report seems to point to, yes, for this particular site and for this well, that there is adequate water, but something that I think we're failing to look at, and perhaps there isn't, in this area, because I don't know, again, the surrounding parcels and where any other wells are, but again, the cumulative impacts of groundwater use in the area and monitoring that. But I do believe, to that point, we have some monitoring and mitigation measures put into the conditions of approval that hopefully we follow through on and monitor that for the future, especially since we don't have a sufficient well test performance on this project well. The other thing is, I was unclear, and maybe I don't need to know, but on the hydrology report speaks of 3 wells. But I'm assuming that the other 2 wells on the property will not be used for this project and are located elsewhere?
There's a domestic well on the property. There's an ag well, a domestic well, but the 2 other wells mentioned in the hydrology study are actually wells on neighboring properties, and they were trying to determine would there be an impact from pumping the ag well to the neighboring wells, and the determination is there would not be an impact.
Okay, so I was not clear on that from the hydrology report, and perhaps I missed it, but thank you.
Remind me how far away those neighboring wells are?
I don't want to misspeak, so. They're definitely over 1,000 feet. I believe one of them's definitely over 2,000 feet. I believe the other, it's not clear in this.
That's plenty. I believe our staff said that the sphere of influence was 143 feet, which I'm skeptical of, but did I get that right?
I'm sorry. Yes, one of them, I'm sorry, I thought I interpreted the circle in the hydrology study incorrectly. One of them is within 1,000 feet. The other is over 1,000 feet away. The one that is within 1,000 feet is over, I guess it looks to be about 800 feet. I'm in the surrounding area map from the hydrology study.
It's page 18 of the PDF of the hydrology report, which is an attachment to the staff report.
And just for clarification, the radius of influence calculated from the project well, the ag well, was 143 feet.
So in regard to the wells too, one of the things I believe that was brought up in one of the public comments is that groundwater wells in close proximity to creeks and streams and potential impacts not currently being addressed in hydrology reports or being addressed by us as a county. So just a point of concern.
My experience is with Orchard wells that 143 feet is nothing. I mean, it's very close. But I'm not a hydrologist.
So, question about greenhouses. You have proposed 3 greenhouses. What's going to be the structure of those greenhouses?
Big metal frames with polycarb or poly. Oh gosh, what's I want to keep carbonate, but that's not correct.
Polyurethane?
Yeah, no, sheeting with sheeting, plastic sheeting.
What's the foundation going to be?
Oh, that would be gravel.
Gravel.
It's the greenhouses are to be used solely for immature plant cultivation.
Right. And then 2 storage sheds.
There's an existing metal building that would be used for drying only, and then there's a proposed metal building that would be used for drying, trimming, storage, things of that nature. There's an existing like ag metal building right now that would be drying alone, and then a new state-of-the-art building would be developed for storage and for people to work in for trimming, grading, storage, and things of that nature.
Okay. And how many residents did you say was on the property?
Well, there's one residence that is inhabitable. There's another residence that is it's like a historic building on the property, and so it's not really being touched. But so technically there would be 2 residences on the property, but only 1 residence that could be used really.
And that's going to be inhabited by the owner, did you say?
Yeah, the manager of the yes.
Oh, the manager. Manager is not the owner?
Yes. So Juan has a partner, Robert, and Robert's actually going to be the one moving into the house and managing the site, and he's also an owner as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
And does he have dogs? Okay. No. So also something, a difference between the initial study and the staff report is in the initial study. It also stated about outdoor cultivation activities would occur within temporary ag exempt hoop houses. Are hoop houses part of this project proposal or not?
So whenever the outdoor is allowed to have hoop houses per ordinance 3132, the Board of Supervisors, it's not anything that is made in the environmental analysis because it's a use by right with the permitted cultivation.
Okay, ag exempt. Right. Okay, so another little difference between the initial study. The initial study stated 4 full-time employees and up to 6 seasonal employees, and that explains the traffic impacts in relation to that. But the staff report indicates 4 full-time and up to 10 seasonal employees. No comment necessary, I just was pointing.
And operation time is 7 days a week, correct?
Yes, ma'am, with limited hours on Sundays.
Oh, it didn't say that, but okay. Thank you.
I have no further questions, but I'd like to hear public comment.
Do you have any questions? Okay, so we will open public comment. Those in the chamber may step forward, introduce him or herself, and you have 3 minutes. And then we will also go to Zoom, but open up to people.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Gamino. I'm the applicant on this project. I've been a vineyard, owner operator. I manage 30 acres of vines right now. I have my pest, certification, applicator license. I mean, I've been in ag, for a long time, and just the whole vineyard market tanked right now. Out of those 30 acres that I farm, this year, I've only been able to sell about 5 tons of fruit, so we're really hoping and depending on this project to go through for, our livelihood, and to, see if we could create employment here in Lake County, and I've just been an experienced vineyard and agricultural operator. When we purchased this property, years ago, we fenced it. We've maintained it. We've been disking. It used to be a field of star thistle, and after the fires, PG&E has been in there like once a week, checking the poles and maintaining all the electrical lines, and just regarding the water, all the irrigation lines and are still out there in the fields, so there's a 440 volt 3-phase pump in the back, that historically that had been used for alfalfa, for hay, for walnuts. So it's been, agriculture this whole time, and I know alfalfa uses a lot more water than cannabis. The turbine pump's still out there. The irrigation wheels are still out there, so I think there's, plenty of water, and, we've talked to the neighbors, and if there's issues, we will provide water, to them. So, if there's any other questions or concerns, we want to be good neighbors and responsible operators.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you.
My name is Rosa Hartzog, and I own the property entering. My address is 3387 Hendricks Road, and the easement that runs to that back property goes right through my property. And I'm really concerned about the amount of traffic that goes through my easement to get to the back property. I mean, we have grandchildren and ourselves, so my concern is the amount of traffic that goes through my property because of the easement that attaches to the property that's being spoken about in the back.
Is this a legally prescribed easement that they have?
It's recorded, yes.
Okay. Are there any restrictions on the easement?
Most of we have noticed that a lot of the people that use it are courteous about the speed. Some are not. There's a barn that's right next to the easement. You said you went right there, so it's really, really, really close to that building that's been there since we bought the property. We bought this property in 77. And, and also our orchard is an old walnut orchard, and some of the orchards, I mean, they've been there forever, and some of the trees are close to the road. So I've noticed that some of the trucks that come through are pretty high. So that could, hit some of the trees.
Is this section of the road that you're speaking of, is this the gravel section?
There
of
is
the
no
road,
gravel,
or
it's a dirt road.
It's dirt?
Yeah, and I have not, they speak about neighbors, but I haven't, never been contacted.
And what do you think the speed limit on this road should be?
10 miles, less. Some people, like I say, are very courteous, and they do go slow, but some do not.
How many properties above yours go through this easement?
Well, we're right on the road, and to get to all those properties back there goes right through our land.
When you say all those properties, how many,
Meaning,
well, how many?
there used to be one residence back there, and now I've seen 3, 4 mailboxes back there.
Okay.
So I don't know what the division is back there of the amount of properties, but I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes. Who maintains this road?
In the past, the owner, before it was purchased, he would fill in with just gravel the holes, but really, it's not even maintained.
Thank you.
So this is a private road? This is part of the private road?
It's on our property, but it's an easement.
It's a public easement.
Correct.
Right. But it's a private road,
So not maintained by the county?
not maintained by the county?
No.
No, maintained by
No.
either.
And when we did have the fires, the fire department did use our Walnut Orchard as a planning phase. They parked their vehicles there during the fire.
Okay.
Is there any more
No,
questions?
any more questions? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else from the chambers?
Good morning, Chair Zoller and Commissioners. Margot Kambara. My remarks are based on written public comment sent to the Planning Commission earlier this week. I have 3 points. First, as the Commission has already touched on these concerns, an environmental impact report, EIR, is required. This project's permit application meets the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, fair argument standard that triggers an EIR. CDD prepared a mitigated negative declaration, an MND, for the project. But when fair argument can be made that a project may have significant effects on the environment, an EIR must be prepared, even if evidence to the contrary exists. Now, professional land manager and ecologist Jared Hendricks' public comment submitted for this hearing identified significant environmental effects that have gone unidentified and unanalyzed by the MND. Among the 7 effects are, and I'll only cite 3, 1, probable impact on the neighbor's domestic water supplies, 2, potential impacts on migratory fish, specifically the Clear Lake hitch, that's been recognized by the state of California for its precarious situation, and a candidate for Endangered Species Act protection, that's in Hendricks Creek. And finally, flooding issues in the Westfield Grow area, specifically storm water runoff and pollution potential are unaddressed, with drainage into Hendricks Creek. So it was great to hear that the project owner is willing to share water with the neighbors. That's great. Is that going to be a condition of use or a condition of approval? It'd be nice to have some teeth into that goodwill. When a project is recommended for approval with an MND, mitigation must be enforceable and include clear performance standards. Commissioner Rosenthal indicated that she hoped that the mitigation measures would be indeed enough to protect the neighbors. And I urge you to take a look at those mitigations again to make sure that the neighbors are protected. CEQA doesn't care who mitigates, but if the permit is going to be approved with an MND, mitigation is required by somebody. And some of that is also going to touch on the roads. there seems to be some confusion of when does 4290 become required. There was an agency letter from CAL FIRE that says to CDD that mitigation, you cannot delay this improvement. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the chambers? Do we have anyone on Zoom? Okay, please introduce yourself. You have 3 minutes.
Donna, Yolanda is trying to unmute you if you can hear us to speak. We will try to go to the next speaker, I think, and maybe come back to Donna. It seems like we might be having some technical issue. Who's the next one? Spencer? Is that what that says?
Do we have a second Zoom person that we can dial in?
Spencer.
Okay. Please state your name and you have 3 minutes.
I don't know if anyone is trying to speak, but we can't hear anyone. I don't know if IT. If Jaden, if you have any control over that at all?
Can we unmute them on our end, or do they have to do it on theirs?
We are trying on our end, but they also have to unmute, I believe. Or maybe I see one of our other planners, Mary Claiborne, is online. I wonder if we can hear anyone. I don't know if Mary, you could say something maybe, or anybody for testing.
if she comes
Betsy,
through.
I see hands going up.
Testing.
Come on in.
Okay, try Mary. I'm just curious to see.
Anybody else from the chambers who'd like to step forward?
Right, it's not working.
I don't have an additional comment, but on your technical difficulties, Donna Makowitz cannot see a way to unmute. So she's at a loss.
Okay, thank you.
She does ask, should she phone in? Can she?
Looks like Mary is unmuted. Mary, can you try to?
Mic check. Mic
Okay,
check.
yep,
Oh, there's
Can you hear
somebody.
me?
I hear you.
Okay, we'll
Okay, so there's a-
continue to work on the other folks, but okay. State your name, please.
Let's try Donna again.
Okay.
Also, yes, you can call in. The number is on the first page of the Planning Commission agenda, along with the passcode for access.
Thank you. I have access now. This is Donna Makowitz, Redbud Audubon. The importance of Hendricks Creek and the hitch is not highlighted, and we just like to bring it to the commissioner's attention. And the suggestion that EIR is requested is a good idea. Hitch migrate up our creeks, migrating several miles up to 20 upstream during spawning. And Hendricks Creek offers excellent spawning in its shallow, gravelly areas. The creek is one of 24 sites currently monitored in Water Resources Hitch surveys. It's sites number 16 and 17. It's so important that it has not one but the 2 sites of the creek monitored each week for 6 weeks. Our concern is there should be a larger buffer for the creek because of this historical documentation of flooding. A minimum of 100 feet to 250 feet is what we wish to recommend. Also, it says, we'd like to recommend no construction activity should be done during hitch spawning season, and there should be monitoring of the hitch returning to the lake when they're young coming back. In the conditions of approval mitigation bio 4, it states a qualified biologist is to do a visual pre-construction survey of 250, I assume, feet upstream and also 250 feet downstream immediately prior to all construction, but our hitch monitoring and activity is for 6 weeks. It doesn't appear Water Resources reviewed this project, which seems important, as Hendricks Creek is listed in the 2 areas of ongoing monitoring. And thank you for the opportunity to comment. And this was a very interesting project to review, as was noted with the discrepancies. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we pull up another one of our Zoom folks?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Please state your name.
Hi, my name's Spencer Johnson.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I live in a near proposed project and have multiple concerns. Hendricks Road is not designed for heavy traffic and commercial use. Adding a large operation will significantly increase the traffic, creating hazards for wildlife, livestock, pedestrians, and nearby residents. The operation has already doubled the amount of traffic, and increasing it will make things worse. Dirt driveway, large trucks, trailers, vans, and vehicles using the road is already a disturbance. Throughout our home and neighborhood, a 7-day-a-week operation with traffic 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. is not something that's appropriate for a residential area, especially with our home being so close for the vehicle access. As stated by other people, our concerns with runoff into Hendricks Creek affecting both the hitch and the western pond turtle. I'm not convinced that the dogs are no longer an issue. My wife and our livestock have already been threatened by the dogs living on the property. They've been observed stalking our cattle, attempting to kill our chickens. They've been so aggressive outside of our house that my wife was afraid to open the door. There haven't been any issues recently. However, my fear is that when they start growing outdoors again, the dogs will have free reign of the property to protect the marijuana. We'll be back to the same issues we had before. And I know that there are still dogs on the property. Marijuana grows, whether legal or not, are well known to attract illegal dealings and unvetted employees. The access to the property runs directly by several residential households, including our own. In addition, the thought of potential thieves mistaking our property as the grow site is quite terrifying for my family and myself. During the grow in 2020, the smell of marijuana was overwhelming. With an operation 2 to 3 times larger, I can only imagine that smell will be unbearable. What will that do to our property value, our quality of life? Will we be left with something that we can't sell or enjoy due to this large operation? My wife and I are not rich by any means. I'm a firefighter and she is a school teacher. We've worked hard to carve out this little slice of heaven. Want to enjoy our peace without fear of our safety. 6 a.m. daily traffic outside of our bedroom window, water concerns, and everything else I spoke of. This operation did not exist when the majority of us purchased our homes. We don't think anyone's commercial monetary gain should supersede our quality of living. As residents of Hendricks Road, my wife, my teenage son, myself are concerned and not in favor of the proposed project.
Thank you. Have anyone else on Zoom?
Chair Zoller, if I could just follow up with a couple points from that public input. All of Hendricks Road is zoned agriculture or rural lands, so it should reasonably be expected that commercial agriculture of all types will take place there. Additionally, in the biological report under wetlands and watercourses, the biologist states that as long as appropriate setbacks are observed off of all watercourses, as required by the State Water Resources Control Board, no impacts to watercourses should occur. Thank you.
I'll add on to that one more thing. The hitch mitigation that we've heard, or impacts to hitch and mitigation, is something that we care very much about. We worked with CDFW and Water Resources on those mitigation measures that are incorporated into the initial study. So I just wanted to clarify that for the record, that it is discussed on beginning on page 23 of the initial study. And there are mitigation measures within that reduce impacts to less than significant. And same goes for traffic. It begins on page 52 of the analysis in the initial study. It's 20 peak daily trips with a weekly peak trip generation of 144 per week. The thresholds in the OPR guidelines are 110 per day as far as a CEQA impact. So the produced trips would be far less than that threshold. That's why we determined it was less than significant. And the last thing I'll say, if it's helpful to the commission, is that section 15384 of the CEQA guidelines is the section that speaks to fair arguments and substantial evidence of when an EIR needs to be prepared. And it has a definition. I can read it if you like. I'll spare you unless I see you nodding. But essentially, there has to be substantial evidence provided that a significant impact would occur that could not be mitigated to less than significant. And to date, the Community Development Department has not received such information, and all impacts are determined to be less than significant in our analysis. So just wanted to point that out, if that's helpful to the commission to have that information.
So for those who have not, don't have privy to the report, would you go through the mitigation for the hitch?
Sure. Pull it up. Yep, starts page 23 of the initial study. It's Bio 1, talks about pesticides and fertilizer use. And then 2 goes into stormwater management and habitat protection shall be required for any ground disturbing work. Comprehensive stormwater measures shall be installed. These include but are not limited to things like silt fencing, fiber rolls, things of that nature. And that is to prevent sedimentation of potential spawning and rearing of the Clear Lake hitch. And Bio 3 says to the extent practicable, can't say that word today, construction shall be conducted during the non-rainy season when Hendricks Creek is dry, again to protect those species. Bio 4 speaks to if it's not possible to schedule construction during that dry season, that before construction activities begin, a qualified biologist shall conduct a training session for all of the construction personnel within 50 feet of Hendricks Creek. And at a minimum, the training will include a description of the Clear Lake hitch, its habitat, and specific measures that are being implemented to protect those species. And subsection B of that is one of our commenters noted this section as well. Immediately prior to all construction, within 50 feet, qualified biologists shall conduct a pre-construction survey, because as we know, they could not be there one day and then show up the next day. So this is to ensure that those species are protected and surveyed if needed 250 feet upstream and downstream of where the project site is. And Bio 5 and 6 also talk about other pre-construction surveys related to other species.
How close is any of the construction to the Hendricks Creek?
So the canopy cultivation area is set back 100 feet from the creek.
And
It's over 100 feet for any of the proposed buildings.
pardon me, say again?
The construction of the proposed buildings and all, it's all over 100 feet. There's the existing driveway, or
Right.
sorry, private gravel access road. There's the existing driveway, and everything would be, all new disturbance would occur south of that driveway, which is further from Hendricks Creek than that driveway, on the opposite side of that road, the existing road from Hendricks Creek.
Okay. And did you already say this, perhaps the outdoor grow is going to be fully fenced?
The whole area is already fully fenced with a pretty robust fence.
So it's already been utilized for growing?
Yes, the previous owner cultivated on the property
Oh.
under early activation, and
Okay.
then when Juan purchased the property, the first thing they did was put up a fence around there.
Do we have any information on the prior permit and how much acreage-wise was produced?
I can look it up really quick.
We don't know offhand, but we can try to look that up for you.
It was the front field, so remember going there, so it was almost all of the front field, but none of the back field.
So roughly half.
Yes, roughly half.
Then I had a question at hearing public comment, and I believe anyway, at listening to public comment, there was a couple comments made that traffic has increased significantly on the roads already. The last speaker, Mr. Spencer, had commented already doubled. So I'm just wondering what's happening on the site at this point where traffic is increasing?
I can let the applicant speak to that. I would just add that we don't have confirmation anyway that is a product of this actual parcel and not some of the other surrounding parcels, but do you have any other information?
I can make a quick comment on that. Yeah, so right now, there's just a single tenant at the residence, but since the last fires, there's PG&E contractors with the large trucks that are the ones the neighbor was probably referencing that go inspect the power lines, inspect the power poles. I mean, we literally get a call once a week from different types of PG&E contractors going up and down the road to inspect all the lines. And the power ends, the last pole is actually on that back parcel that was next to the existing three-phase turbine. That's where the last service pole ends at the property. Yeah. So those are probably all the trucks. We get the calls and we have to call the tenant and, let them know to open the gate and let the, different PG&E service contractors access the road and the poles. Yeah. And real quick, I do not have any large dogs, for the record.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A question about residents. There's one on the property. What is the other? What is the other closest resident? Where is that in location to the grow site?
There are multiple residences along Hendricks Road, and those, I believe, are 800 feet away from the nearest cultivation area, or maybe 1,000, because that's I think Hendricks Road forms the farmland protection zone, so it's like 8.
So page 5 of the staff report states the nearest off-site residences. So the nearest off-site residence is 400 feet to the west, and then there's another one 850 feet to the 815 feet to the east.
And the residence that's 400 feet to the west, that's Mr. Hendricks' residence where you met. Early on, you'll see one of Mr. Hendricks' letters against this project. But then once we met with him, he got to know Juan and Robert. And now I believe that's the impression I've been given. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I believe he is now in support of the project after getting to know the project better.
One of my biggest concerns is the kids' camp to the west, and Mr. Hendricks is the one who's going to have to verify. My impression, I have to go with what I'm seeing in front of me, and it's in writing. It's very detailed. And he does talk about vicious dogs in the last year, so I'm not at all assured by this.
Yeah, we don't have verification that other than the written letter that we have. So unless he's here someplace.
Well, you did speak with him during the site visit, and
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He didn't express any opinions.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and the kids camp is not currently operating. It doesn't exist at the moment. Well, the camp does, but there haven't been kids there since 2020, before 2020, I believe.
Additionally, we do have setbacks from sensitive receptors, such as schools. We do not have a setback from a camp. And also just reminding the commission that dogs are not part of the code.
Right. So last call for public comment, and then we'll close it. Okay, we have one in the chamber stepping forward, and we'll, Zoom person will be next. Please state your name again, please.
My name is Rosa Hartzog. What I was talking about, the amount of traffic, there's also a lot of big trucks bringing in supplies, like for all these buildings that are also going through there. It's not just PG&E. It's, you know, the big trucks bringing in the supplies for whatever they're building.
Thank you. Person on Zoom. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Christian, you are open to speak if you can unmute yourself.
Hi, my name's Christian Hernandez. I'm a licensed cultivator there in Lake County. License number UP 2068 in Clover Valley Road. I've known Juan for many years, the applicant. He's a very hardworking person. He's always been in the vineyard industry, and he's played a big role in my farm as well. He's helped me out with many contacts, electricians, nutrients, and many other stuff that even the setup on how to set up the operation roughly 7 years ago. I just want to state that I'm in support of this project. I've worked with the planning department with Yolanda and Mary Claiborne for many years. In regards to the creek, our project also has a seasonal creek. It's never affected any of the fish that go upstream. As a matter of fact, this year we saw thousands of them going upstream, and we've never witnessed anything. We also have a vineyard as well, and we use the same chemicals that we use for the cultivation, similar ones, and it's never affected the wildlife in our grow. I just want to state that I'm in support of this project, and I hope you guys give them the opportunity to create more jobs and support the agricultural support the agricultural economy there in Lake County.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, last call for public input. Do we have anybody else on Zoom? No? All right, so we'll close public comment and bring it back to the commission for any other questions.
I don't have questions. I guess I'm going to make a couple comments, just letting my fellow commissioners know kind of where I stand on this project. Is I think, as with so many of these projects that come before us, it boils down to water, roads, odor, and in this case, a few other situations. But in regard to water, while I'm fairly confident that there's adequate water for the project at the site, I think it's an ongoing issue here in Lake County, that there is, as stated in the hydrology report, that there is great uncertainty with the aquifers, and we don't really know. So it's kind of wing it as we go. And I just hope that our mitigation measures are enough. And again, I seem to recall we were kind of going through the same thing years and years ago when Six Sigma came before the Planning Commission and before the Board of Supervisors. And I know that was excruciating in regard to proving that there was enough water for that project on a 4,000-acre piece. And I believe at that time they just wanted to put in, I think it was 20 to 40 acres of vineyard is what they were proposing on 4,000 acres. But yet the hoops that they had to jump through, you know, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track here, but again, we're going through this with cannabis because cannabis is a very water-intensive crop, and unfortunately, we don't have the experts on staff to confirm and verify that we're not causing damage to our aquifers. Nonetheless, for this project, I do feel like there is water for the project. In regard to odor, I know as we heard from Director Turner last time, as we're going through the cannabis ordinance update, that the Board of Supervisors is leaning towards the 200-foot setback for odor. I think I would say the majority of this commission doesn't agree with that. And we've heard and see, members of the public come forward with great concern. And I think that there's a difference between, while there are different odors that maybe we are familiar or unfamiliar with, I think there's also odors that we can live with, or odors that fall into a category of unacceptable versus acceptable odors, such as poop. Do we really want to carry poop with us? Do we want that right next to us? Are we okay if there was family of skunks living under our house? So I think we're still going to grapple with that issue as well. Again, nonetheless, on this project here, I do feel the setbacks in the area. There are not currently residences that are incredibly close to this property that would be affected. It might be okay. But in regard to roads, and not having had an opportunity to do a site visit on this particular project, but I do have concern about the road, the private road, and increasing traffic there, mainly with the processing facility, turning this into more of just a commercial project rather than the agricultural piece of it, just growing a plant or plants. And not knowing, I don't feel like I have enough information about the condition of the road. I haven't seen any photographs or pictures that really, convince me. And again, with the public comments, I think there is concern about this private gravel road that accesses another private gravel road, et cetera, et cetera. And so my main concern, I guess, with this project is the road. I don't have enough information on that status or that condition to approve all elements of the project.
I think I would commend anybody who works with the neighbors, as you have said you have done. But I need to see that. And I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing letters dated 4 months ago complaining about dogs. Not that dogs are an issue, but they're listing a lot of problems, concerns, and one of them is odor. We are devaluing our neighboring properties when we allow production of cannabis outside. My understanding of our right to farm ordinance is that it does not include cannabis. Maybe things have changed and maybe I need to be informed better about this, but right now I'm acting under the assumption that our right to farm ordinance does not include cannabis, and cannabis does not have, cannabis growers do not have the right to stink up the neighborhood. So at this point, I don't feel like I have enough material to deny this project, but I also don't have enough material to approve it. So that's how I'm feeling right now.
Could I seek clarification on the additional information you require for a decision? I'm thinking that maybe we need to request a continuance on this item so that we can furnish you with the information that you're saying you don't have in order to make a decision today.
If you think that's appropriate.
Can I?
So I also have concerns about the roads. I live on a road that is paved, but there are cannabis grows up above me, and there are a lot more substantial trucks and traffic. And so my road's paved, so if the road is not paved, and as I may understand, not gravelled, but is a dirt road, I can see that there are some substantial issues that would affect the neighbors.
One quick comment about the roads as well. So I know that off of the Hendricks Road, there's a driveway, which is the easement that all the other properties at the end of that road use, not just this specific project. The distance of that entrance off of Hendricks and the driveway to the property that we're discussing today, is that the part that's going to be 4290, is it 4290 compliant?
Yeah, may I speak? There were some photos that you had in your presentation. It was one of the early slides. One of those showed the road. I mean, it wasn't a picture of the road. It was a picture of the entrance gate to it. But I believe I can provide you with the information that you're seeking. So the existing road is flat. It's through an orchard. It winds a little bit. We're going to have to, wind around. The existing road is not 4290 compliant. We will have to bring that road up to 4290 compliance, which is going to be requiring importing some gravel to improve the surface, as well as the construction of a commercial encroachment where that road meets Hendricks Road. So the picture on the right, that is the top right, that is the existing road that's used to access the property. So from here to Hendricks Road, it's about 1,000 feet, so about 1,000 feet long. That section will have to be improved all the way to this gate and then onto the property. And then as far as public outreach, if you will allow me, I would like to read the letter that we wrote to the neighbors, and the letter was sent. I got the email addresses from Mr. Hendricks on March 15th, and I sent it that day. And then on March 26th, I was able to verify that it was received by Mr. Hendricks, as well as the Spencer Johnson, Johnson I believe his last name, but Spencer, who commented earlier. I was able to confirm that they received the letter, and those, I can prove that it was sent.
Yeah, I don't doubt the outreach. That's not going to give us confirmation from the other side. So, from those that received it. So, and I appreciate the outreach, and that's what I know that I personally am struggling here, because I believe that Juan, seems and appears to be, a good, reputable farmer. This project does have some merit. So, but there's a few missing pieces, and for me, part of it also, just for staff, as I was pointing out, kind of the differences in, or different things, even though, some of them are somewhat minor, but, there are some differences in all of the information that we're here. And so it just leaves me to, it's like, okay, is this really a project that's put together and, ready? Are we getting all the pieces? Or are there still, they're cut and paste things? I mean, again, we're not going to Sonoma to seek permits. So it should say, in Lake County.
I searched the Sonoma thing, and that was that was best management practices from Sonoma County. That was in the biological study.
Yes.
And okay, it was a cut and paste. Lake County does not have a list of best.
Darn it. Darn it.
What I'm saying is that the reason that's in there is the biologist is like, well, I recommend that you implement these practices. These are good practices to implement. And because it is cut and paste from Sonoma County's best management practice, it does reference Sonoma County per permit division multiple times in there, yes.
Yes. I figured as such. And so, I'm sorry, yes, I figured as such. And again, I wish then the cut and paste, as far as also little things or whatever, as we heard from Rose here, a member of the public, 10 miles an hour when I asked her what's the maximum on that road. But yet in our plan, we have 15. So yet best practices from the cut and paste from Sonoma recommends maximum 10 miles an hour. So why isn't that transferred over then if, and given that we don't have best practices, and perhaps we should. And to that point too, I'm going to also mention, I guess I'm just using this as a forum, but our drought management plan. Gee, we need to beef that up, especially in critical emergency drought situations.
So I'd like to just comment that a number of these issues seem legislative to me. We're supposed to be a judicial body that's trying to figure out whether any project complies with our laws. Fortunately or unfortunately, as it may be, we are not the legislative body. We are not elected. But we can send messages, perhaps. If I do think now that this project should be continued, because at this point, I'm not ready to approve it, but it does have many merits.
So, did you have any comments?
I do have some comments if you.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so there is one driveway back to the roads, I guess. Past the 1,000 foot, it looks like it splits into two. One that goes to one of the residences and one that loops around, and that's the one that most of the neighbors use. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then that's like runs the southern side of the parcels.
Yeah,
or
and
between-
the residence that it goes to is a seasonal residence. It's not like a year round.
Okay.
And in the back there, but
Yeah.
yeah, it splits.
So I guess the point I was trying to make is that most of because it's basically we're splitting this project into two fenced areas. That one, the northernmost grow would be accessed directly through that first driveway.
Both of
The
them
one
would
that
be,
the one that splits off the north, and then the south, and then the second one would be
no,
through the other one.
no, the driveway that goes, the fence, the picture's gone, but the driveway continues onto
Continues.
the second. So you would only be using that section of road between Hendricks Road and the entrance to the
Okay,
fenced.
yeah, just that's kind of what I wanted to know. If part of the improvements that are going to be made off of Hendricks is because that's the only section of shared easement that you guys are going to be using, and the rest of the road will be, for the other residences that are there. So I'm looking at how those impacts are mitigated, and they're mitigated by improving that section from Hendricks to that driveway. on the
Yeah,
property.
and then one of the comments in Mr. Hendricks' letter was, about flooding occurring on the backside of the property. Well, that was because a culvert that is used on that section of road, used to access Mr. Hendricks' property, was plugging and so therefore water wasn't, but Juan and Robert got out there and worked with them and they fixed the issue. They were not aware of it because they don't use that section of road. That section of road is only used to access the properties in the back.
Okay. Yeah, and also, it's always good to see when neighbors or when applicants do that outreach to the neighbors and extend their help, like the being able to provide water in case of emergency. So those are good attempts. One, it's good to be kind and neighborly, especially when you're doing these. But there's improvements that are going to be also coming that'll, benefit some of those residents that use these roads as well to access their properties. I think that the water study that was done in 2020, that was during the extreme drought years, which was, I think 2021 was the worst year when the declaration of emergency was,
21.
yeah, it was declared by the state. So from there, I mean, everybody felt that, our lake was probably at its lowest that it's been since like the 70s. So I'm sure we would get some, pushback on the water use. Historic use for the property, that's always interesting to see. As we noted earlier, alfalfa does require a lot more water than what is proposed here. But any type of water should be evaluated, which is kind of what we did here with the hydrology report. So that's another point where I'm in favor of the project as well. So yeah, I mean, the last thing really is odor, but we don't have, I think we discussed it one of the last meetings, that we don't really have what's a good odor and bad odor if you have a farm and the smell of, how we said it earlier, of animals. That could be considered bad to some people that are maybe not from the county or visiting, so it's, that's probably one of the toughest ones to decide on, but until we have some kind of way to measure that or maybe looking at other projects that we have in the county. I know that that doesn't relate to this specific project, but to see how many complaints we're getting for odor, when they do the inspections, what's going on. Maybe I don't know if staff could, I don't know how we would go about writing something up when these inspections occur, either when cultivation's happening, maybe having in the report when peak, odor is expected, and then reaching out to neighbors then to say, hey, around this time is when it's going to be the most. It's not a year-round event. It occurs only in the last months from flower to cultivation. So I think just further informing and being, having that good communication with your neighbors will go a long way. But basically from the findings that I've made, I would move forward with the project as it is. But I would take this back to the chair to make a decision.
Thank you. So we're at the point, if there are no other comments from the commissioners, we can make a motion recommended either to approve or to put a continuance on this. So
I have one question just in this. I'm sorry, I should have asked this earlier. This is a question for staff in our conditions of approval, and maybe I've missed this in past conditions of approvals on similar projects, but on, let's see, I don't have a page number. In our conditions approval under timing and mitigation monitoring, the 1, 2, 3 bullet point under item number 2, in the compliance monitoring, it states the permittee shall contact the Community Development Department to schedule such inspection for the annual inspection site. And I was just wondering, why, this doesn't pertain to the project. This is just a verbiage thing, or, is that our normal policy? Do we wait till the permittee contacts the county to schedule the inspection, or are those annual inspections scheduled on a regular basis?
So what we do is we send out the packet for the annual mitigation or annual compliance monitoring to all applicants, and then the applicant has to pay their fee before it can be scheduled. So I think that it could be a little bit of language. We contact them, they contact us, we contact them, and then they agree to dates.
And
For us and for the public, I just wanted to clarify or whatever, that we're not just sitting back and waiting, and so
we
that
don't sit
annual
back and wait.
inspections actually happen and are on
Yes, we
schedule.
send out the notice to everybody, all cultivators that have been approved, that annual compliance monitoring is coming up. And then we request their progress reports or their performance reports, their water usage, all of the things, and then their fee payment for staff time to go out and do those. And then we create a schedule and we email those to the permittees and call permittees and let them know when their scheduled date is.
Thank you.
And there's a deadline to submit those packets, is that correct?
Yes, June 1st.
And why is that date selected? June 1st?
I'm not sure why that particular date is selected, but it is meant to happen during cultivation activities.
I think
So-
that has to do with the
Yes,
tax collector
taxes
also.
and things like that. But it is meant to happen for us to do these inspections during while cultivation is actively happening on site.
Yeah,
So that way we can make sure that they are meeting their conditions of approval, their mitigation measures, all of the things.
Thank you.
So as you know, I believe strongly that a person's right to swing their fist ends where the neighbor's nose begins. And in this case, I'm not just talking about odor, the nose. I'm talking about our trucks going to be hitting tree limbs, dust. But I do appreciate the applicant and the applicant's consultant making an attempt. It's just that I need some more evidence. So if you would like, we could continue this to a date uncertain. I mean, I could make a motion to do that.
are you making that motion?
No, I'm asking if the consultant or the applicant would like a date certain or to achieve these?
Let's leave that up to the commission. And also, if we can get a list then of the information that is required, staff is happy to work with the applicant to get that and be able to furnish it to you whenever this is continued to.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we continue this to a date uncertain.
Date uncertain means we have to renotice it. Staff would prefer to minimize expense for the project to continue it to a time and date certain.
So let's hear from the applicant. Do you have a date?
Well, I think it would depend on when we can make the findings. Do we know what those findings are going to be?
Specifically, I'm looking for evidence that the odor threat is gone. I'm seeing a lot of neighbors worrying about odor and other issues, and the applicant has stated that, or suggested that those neighbors are no longer have an issue with it, but I'm not seeing that, so I'd like to give them another chance. But I have no idea how long it would take.
Is that the only one? Okay.
Well, as I stated, my main concern with the project is the road. So the private gravel road that attaches to another gravel road. So, and for me, yeah, I will make the effort to do a site visit. So again, with lack of information as far as in the staff report that addresses, that clearly states that, there's nothing from Public Works in regard to the roads. There's no adequate photographs or pictures or information. It just talks about, as I read earlier, a gravel road that goes to a gravel road that goes to a gravel road. So on access, and so that's just totally confusing for me. And hearing testimony from public that expresses concerns about that, I would like to get that straightened out before we proceed, especially with the processing facility that is proposed with this project.
Yeah, I have concerns about the road as well. When it says there's going to be 4 full-time employees, I think for what appears to be a large operation, who's going to monitor whether or not there are 4 or 10 that are coming in and out on a regular basis? So what you would like is not a date to be determined, but a date selected.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We recommend May 28th at 9:05.
So move.
Okay. So would you state the motion again so fully, please?
I move that we continue this item till May 28th at 9:05. 2026.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to continue this to May 28th at 9:05. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes 3-1, so this will be continued to that date. Thank you very much. So do we want to take a break here for? Sure. Okay, so it's 11:15. Is that what time it is? So how about we take a 15-minute break and come back at 11 o'clock? Thank you. All right, welcome back from our break. We just have a couple of items of business, and then we'll conclude our meeting today. So, Director Turner, any items to share for?
I have just a brief department update. The Lake County 2050 project is moving along swimmingly. We are nearing the end of the public input or public review period for both the EIR and all of the general plan update documents. We are still collecting public input for the EIR through tomorrow, the 24th, and the other all other general plan documents through the end of the month. We have held a number of LAPAC, Local Area Plan Advisory Committee meetings all over the county over the last few weeks, and so far Middletown and Eastlake LAPACs have concluded with their review. Yay! GPAC, the General Plan Advisory Committee, has concluded its review. Woo-hoo. And let's see, that is my update on Lake County 2050. Oh, except for further meetings. This evening at 5 at Woody's Cafe is the Kelseyville LAPAC. Next week, Cobb has a virtual LAPAC at 3 p.m. North Lake has a quick meeting on Wednesday at noon, virtual. And the Spanish speakers stakeholder meeting is on Tuesday at 6 o'clock at St. Mary's Church in Lakeport.
And do you have a Lower Lake meeting on Friday, maybe?
Uh-oh.
There was a tentative, maybe?
There was a tentative meeting, and I'll have to reach out to them because I think it was a tentative meeting based on the notes that I sent them, which I haven't sent them yet. So, yeah, let me take a look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Lower Lake.
And
I'll
then-
look at my notes.
And then when you're finished with that, maybe you could tell us, let the public know where the meeting notes, whatever was concluded, can be accessed online?
Sure. They're not available online. I did tell the LAPACs that I would send them my copies of my notes, and so I will send that out to the LAPAC email list. And I'm going to, but I won't have time to do it probably before because I'm so busy holding LAPAC meetings. But once the LAPAC meetings have concluded, I'm going to compile all of my notes into like a single Eastlake LAPAC notes, Middletown LAPAC notes. And I'm going to send all of those notes to everybody that's on the email list for the different LAPACs.
I think it would be wonderful if they were accessible to the public on
That's a
somewhere.
good
on the
idea.
county
I'll work with
website.
the internal team to get those
Thank you.
uploaded on the lakecounty2050.org website. That is lakecounty2050.org website, which is the hub for everything Lake County 2050.
Maybe they could sit under the heading, the documents, where you have all your other things.
Yeah, it'll probably be like LAPAC notes, something. Yeah, we'll find a good term.
Great. So I have just a request for an agenda item to add to our discussion time of our meetings. And it's, my wonderments are about sort of our own operation. I'd like to talk about staff reports. And I'd like to understand better what mitigation means. I mean, I know what the word means, but when we're presented with a topic that says the issues have been mitigated to a point of acceptability, you know, if it starts at a 10 where it's not okay and it's mitigated down to a 3 where it is okay, what are those interim steps and how does that work? Because it's referenced all the time, but
The industry term is to less than significant.
right, but okay, less than significant. So exactly what is that process to get from significant to less than? So I would like to understand that better. And then just a discussion about our meeting structure. We have recently invited the applicant to come up and sit up at the dais and just make sure that, you know, we've done it the last couple times, make sure we're still okay about that. And does anybody else have any other topics?
I'd just like to have such a discussion available to the public. I'd like it to be agendized for that reason, so the public is aware
Sure.
and can participate.
We will add this to the next agenda as a non-timed item.
Okay, and I think that, did you want to talk about hydrology and having a hydrologist possibly on staff, or?
Is there anything new than what we've already heard the last few years
Okay.
but have no money for?
I think I state it every meeting, but I don't think that it's up to me, but we can certainly
I just wondered
include
about the
it.
possibility, because as you say, you've stated every meeting as a wonderment or a concern.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I'm totally blanking out, but there was something I mentioned to you. Anyway, maybe it'll come to me, maybe it won't.
We will keep it specific, but also somewhat broad, and pose it as a discussion so that you won't, if you remember, hopefully it'll still fit into that agenda title.
Yes.
And if not, we can always agendize another discussion.
And I think maybe what you're referring to is also a little bit further, deeper dive into explaining the initial study report.
Right.
So where where it's decided on whether something is mitigated or not, or it
Correct,
can
yeah,
be
yeah.
or cannot.
Right, yeah. So just to delve into that, and
process.
so
Sure.
as we probably have the conversation, it'll spark other questions. But yeah, if we could leave it a little open on
We'll
that.
call it the environmental analysis process.
Well, that sounds exciting. Okay,
it?
sure.
I know, right?
All right, so if, I don't know what items we have for our next meeting, but as soon as we have a meeting, perhaps like today where we only have one item, gives us a little more time
Indeed.
for that kind of conversation.
Sounds good. So because we're going to have this discussion, I will table page 2 of the Planning Commissioner's Handbook for a later date.
Yes, yeah, we can get into page 2 of the 5,000 pages on another day.
Yes.
The 5,000 pages is actually the Lake County 2050 project. This one is shorter, though I don't know that that means it'll take us any less time
Right,
to go through.
And just a quick question as far as, and again, for us and for the public, the Record B is the media source where whatever is going to be heard by this body and/or the Board of Supervisors is posted, is that correct? And
Yes,
how many
according
days-
according
how
to
many
government.
days out is that available for review?
Yeah,
At
thank
least
you.
to be able to see.
According to the government code, we do publish on the paper of record. Since we only have one paper, that is the Lake County Record B. In most items, it's a 10-day notification, which means it has to hit the paper no less than 10 days prior to the hearing. There is a new law, though, that talks about a zoning code amendment, which could either be a rezone map or a zoning text amendment, and that is now a 20-day notice. So that goes into the paper no less than 20 days prior to hearing. Additionally, we're not required to, but because Lake County News is definitely a viable news source in our county, we also send it to them. But I don't know, sometimes, it's up to Lake County News staff on when they can post that online. There's not a requirement for them, and so sometimes it does vary. But they're generally really good about turnaround time.
As I recall from my mass media law class 35 years ago, it needs to be a newspaper of general circulation in the area, and that definition has probably changed, and Nicole probably knows more about it than I do.
Ironically, the definition has not changed significantly. However, in the last number of years, the newspaper of general circulation is a designation given by a court, and a newspaper petitions for it, and they must meet certain criteria to be found to be a newspaper of general circulation, and unless and until they've received that determination by a court, they cannot post, or it's not, they can post, but it's not, it doesn't meet the legal requirement for a notice posting. So the county has to use a newspaper of general circulation. This county has only one. So there is no choice but to use that one newspaper of general circulation. And so the criteria are, there are a few criteria they have to meet, and they have to ask the court to make that determination. There is no option besides that one, yeah.
Thank you. If no other comments, then I will adjourn this meeting of the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.